I'm calling it the Kamala comeback. She gives a 17-minute speech last night. She talks about the zoo.
Who saw that video from a couple of weeks ago? The one of the elephants at the San Diego Zoo during the earthquake? Google it if you've not seen it. So that scene has been on my mind. Everybody's asking me what you've been thinking about these days. Well,
the more she speaks, the more she shows the American people one thing. She still can't apologize being complicit in that open border crisis. And until she doesn't rectify the gravest mistake, which was standing next to Biden, knowing he was in mental decline, it's the biggest cover-up. It's the biggest cover-up of my lifetime. She's going to continue to make a mockery of the Democrat Party. She, AOC, Bernie Sanders, I hope they continue to show the American people that the fringe left has lost common sense.
All right, guys, an epic 2-hour open press cabinet meeting. I don't think I've ever seen anything like it in history. I don't think any of us did. We got a lot to break down with that. Kamala is trying for a comeback. It was a quick reminder in 17 minutes long of a speech why we don't need her anymore. And then Tim Waltz was up at Harvard trying to say that somehow he was the code talker to white dudes in trucks. That's not a joke. I'll play this for you in a little bit. So much to get to. An amazing panel. We're going to break it all down with them. And by the way, a lot of big news issues that fall outside of that, what I just said, and going to break down. But tomorrow, Byron Donalds is on the show. We've got some great breakdown of that, what's going on in Congress. Our friend Tim Murtaugh will join us. On Monday, the president's pollster, Jim McLaughlin's going to join us. So, I mean, just hit that notification button and subscribe. Also go to SeanSpicer.com, get that subscription, because always never know what's coming up on that. Before I get to that and all of the good people in President Trump's cabinet that we're going to highlight in just a second from the meeting yesterday. Another good guy is my friend Leo Grillo. You know him if you've been watching the show for a while. He is the founder of Delta Rescue. He started it all by founding rescuing a Doberman that was abandoned on the street. He named the dog Delta, dedication and everlasting love to animals. And that became what is now known Delta Rescue. If you go to deltarescue.org, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. It's so cool as an animal lover to see the work that this guy has done, because it's the world's largest no-kill sanctuary, not a shelter, not a place where they're trying to house them. If there's an animal, it's dogs, cats, horses, you name it, that is abused, malnutrition, in need of care, Leo Grillo and the folks at Delta Rescue take in all sorts of animals and get them the care that they need for life. But there's no USAID, no Politico Pro subscriptions. It's the donations from people like me and you. And yes, I have made a personal donation to Leo because I love the work that he's doing with animals. Please go to deltarescue.org. Look at the work that they're doing. Hit that donation button and consider a donation of your own. There's also an estate planning tab up there. When you look at the site, if you can make an old 401k or a stock, there might be some tax advantage to helping make this an enduring mission by you donating some asset that you have. So check that out. Please take a look at the whole site. It's so amazing what Leo Grillo is doing. Anyway, one more thing before we get to the panel. You guys know this. When you start your morning off, so many of you reach for a great cup of coffee. I do. And this is what I recommend to the entire panel. This is another bag that I'm crushing. Every time I have a group of folks over, when I was in Florida last week, I literally traveled with coffee. Who travels with coffee? I do, because I love the folks at Wired to Fish. They make it a great product. I'm a big fan of the medium roast. Now, I don't judge you. If you want to go with the darker flavors, that's fine with me. I can't handle it that strong in the morning. I love the beans and the flavor that comes out of Wired to Fish. I even usually make extra, make a little iced coffee for later in the day, because that's the kind of guy I am. But the cool part about Wired to Fish is not just that it's a great product. It is a great company. They love coffee, fish, and Jesus, and probably in the opposite order. But it's a great company with great values, and that's why I love it. Because when I buy Wired to Fish coffee, and I literally go on the site and I buy it myself when Leah sends it to me, she always got this really nice note in the box, by the way. It's so cool because they're a great company with great values. 25% of their profits go back to clean water initiatives and faith-based initiatives. I know that I'm not giving money to Starbucks, and then they completely destroy everything I believe in with the profits of that company. This is a great company with great people. So go to wired2fishcoffee.com. Literally it's two with a numeral. So wired, the numeral 2 fishcoffee.com. Use code WeCare, one word, WeCare, for 10% off your order. And by the way, if you're a big coffee drinker, now they've got these, not just 2, but 5 pound bags. so that you can economically get it delivered to your house. Trust me when I say it's the best cup of coffee that you have, and you'll feel good drinking it. So wired2fishcoffee.com. All right, I want to bring in our amazing all-star panel. Mahek Cook, political commentator, former Congresswoman Nan Hayworth, represented our big swing state of New York these days, and Chris Stigall, the host of the Chris Stigall Show on Salem Radio Network, and also our de facto Pennsylvania correspondent. Guys, good to see you all. I was a little shocked this morning when I flipped around the morning news, as I do because of the addiction that I have, on how little play this big Ukrainian minerals deal got. And just to give our audience a set, I want to play Secretary Scott Bessent announcing this deal last night. Take a look, and then I want you guys to react to this.
Thanks to President Trump's tireless efforts to secure a lasting peace, I am glad to announce the signing of today's historic economic partnership agreement between the United States and Ukraine, establishing the United States-Ukraine Reconstruction Investment Fund. This partnership allows the United States to invest alongside Ukraine to unlock Ukraine's growth assets, mobilize American talent, capital, and governance standards that will improve Ukraine's investment climate and accelerate Ukraine's economic recovery. The Development Finance Corporation will participate and help to establish this fund in collaboration with the government of Ukraine. Today's agreement signals clearly to Russian leadership that the Trump administration is committed to a peace process centered on a free, sovereign, and prosperous Ukraine over the long term. It's time for this cruel and senseless war to end. The killing must stop, and both the United States and the government of Ukraine look forward to quickly operationalizing this historic economic partnership for both the Ukrainian and American people.
All right, Nan Hayworth, I want to start with you. Your former left-wing colleagues in Congress always talk about Trump cozying up to Putin. We're not supporting Ukraine enough. And there's Scott Bessent, the Treasury Secretary, making it very clear. By us being involved, by us having an economic stake in this, that is a clear and undeniable signal to Putin. Guess what now? We're in there too. An attack on Ukraine is an attack on us. This, to me, was a brilliant cudgel. Instead of just sending them weapons and saying good luck in fighting, now Russia knows, the U.S. has got an economic stake in Ukraine. An attack on Ukraine is basically a de facto attack on the United States. And, oh, by the way, we make some money along the way. What a win for the United States and a win to stop the war, Nan.
Yes, Sean, in all ways. And those of us who have understood President Trump's intentions for not just America, and as Scott Bessent was saying yesterday, America first, yes, but not America alone. And so we have understood that this deal, which should have happened a month ago or more, but for Volodymyr Zelensky's having listened to congressional Democrats who tried to push him to confront President Trump instead of saying, thank you, this is a great partnership, let's get this done and win for everyone. Now we see the results of what President Trump and Secretary Bessent, who's such a great partner for him, both of them are capable of seeing around corners, basically. That's why they're such great negotiators. President Trump sets the vision. Scott Bessent is able to keep up right along with him. Brilliant success for all concerned, and repudiates, as you have said, Sean, the notion that was always laughable on its face, that President Trump was somehow allied with the interest of Vladimir Putin, other than to have world peace, which Putin did not want and does not want.
Right. Chris Stigall, were you at all, I was flicking around this morning. For all of these hand wringers who constantly are like, Ukraine war, and then we've got to put an end to it. I was like, wait a second. This is a huge win for the United States first. Secondly, it's a huge win in toward ending the war. And suddenly they spent most of their time talking about Bill Belichick's interview on CBS from a week ago than whether or not this was a great sign for the end of the war. And I'm like, it's just funny. When Trump gets a win, it's like, okay, next.
Yeah, no, that as much as it takes, as long as it takes, seemed like a perfectly reasonable answer from Joe Biden to the media for how long, which was an insane answer to me, by the way. I never understood how any American could be settled by a president saying we were just going to throw, as the Congresswoman said, endless sums of money and munitions at Ukraine forever with no expectation of an outcome, no metric whatsoever, just keep it flowing. Here's a guy who said, tell you what, it's tough to sell the American public on as much as it takes, as long as it takes, but we'll hang with you if you give us a reason to. And your rare earth minerals are a reason to. And you're exactly right, as you set it up. Now we've got business to do there, and the American public better understands why we would want to protect our interests, our business interests, our financial interests in being helpful to Ukraine. This is how you win the American public's support to Ukraine's side. More importantly, I think that's what Trump did today.
Matt, can I just say one thing that's funny? I was listening to one of these experts talk about this, and I didn't realize this going in, but he started to talk about where the rare earth minerals are. And you know where they are? In a lot of the areas right near where Russia's trying to control. So guess what that means? Like, again, I feel like Trump just played a massive game of chess, and everyone else was sitting around playing like tic-tac-toe and didn't realize what was happening. And it comes out and it's like, I honestly, I know I said it to Chris DeGaulle in terms of the media, but like, I just don't know if people fully appreciate what just happened in front of their face.
Well, Sean, the media doesn't appreciate what just happened because they have over 92% or 94% bet against President Trump. All they want to focus is on the negative. So as we continue to get wins, and when I say we, it's every single American. I don't care if you're independent, Democrat, or Republican. This is a win because we now know where our dollars are going, where the investments are going, and we're not sitting here as lame ducks. That's what we were under the Biden administration. We were waiting to see what Russia was going to do, and there was going to be hell to pay if Kamala Harris was in charge today. Media is not going to cover this. This was the biggest negotiation. What media was interested in was that deal with Zelensky, JD Vance, and Trump, where they continued to trash our president instead of say, this is the negotiation part. This is the art of the deal. And President Trump is going to continue to deliver, not just on Russia and Ukraine, but the Middle East as well. The mess we're in is because of complacency by people like Biden and Democrats.
Yeah. So I want to get to the cabinet meeting yesterday. I've never seen anything like this, guys. 2 hours, open press, with all of these people, each one of the cabinet. I felt like it was report card time. Like it was like, okay, we're going around the table. You're going to tell me what, and I know the media was like, but I felt like, okay, I now know as a taxpayer what every one of these people's doing, what they've accomplished. JD Vance got to set the table. I want to play for you. Like, let's hear how he kicked things off.
At the risk of insulting everybody else at the table, I believe that I'm the youngest member sitting at the table. And, it occurred to me that from the time that I was born to the time that Donald J. Trump was inaugurated just a few months ago, we went from, again, 40 years, we went from the world's manufacturing superpower to one in which we depend on the People's Republic of China to make the things that we need. We went from the proudest military in the world to one in which we failed to meet our recruiting goals. And we went from one in which bipartisan border policy was the consensus of both Democrats and Republicans to one in which we allowed 20 million people to run roughshod illegally over the countryside, causing crime, causing a stress in the welfare system. And again, that happened over the lifetime of the youngest member of the cabinet. And what has happened in 100 days is that we've started to reverse every single one of those negative trends. And I think what it shows to me is that the president, and you sit in the Oval Office and you see these portraits of presidents past. And let's be honest, most of them have been placeholders. They've been people who have allowed their staff to sign executive orders with an auto pen instead of men of action. And the reason the media attacks this administration as chaotic is because the president is solving the problems the American people set about to solve.
Okay. So, Nan Hayworth, I wanted to play that because I actually thought that really encapsulated the sea change. Like sometimes I can't put my finger on something, and what JD said yesterday, I thought, that's it. That's it. Like it's so many things, and we'll play a couple of these, but I felt like every one of the people, the EPA administrator, Lee Zeldin, Ag Secretary, Brooke Rollins, HUD Secretary, Scott Turner, like they each had something of significance to say. In the last 100 days, here are the wins that I've gotten for the American people. Like the ship has turned big time. We're not talking about nibbling on the edges and midnight basketball like Bill Clinton. This is like each cabinet member had a serious report of serious stuff that they did.
Yes, Sean. It was like a very happy episode of The Apprentice, if you will.
You all did a great job. No one's getting fired.
Right, no one's getting fired. But by the same token, everybody knows that they are keeping up as best they can with the most prolific and genuinely a brilliant man in the form of President Trump, who has had this vision and held this vision for his entire adult life. If you look back at, his interviews from years ago, and now it is being fulfilled, and not for his aggrandizement, but for the sake of the American people and the heart that they have for the American worker, for the American farmer, for the American taxpayer, and for communities that have suffered so much particularly under the 4 years of Biden, but before that, Obama, who set the table for a lot of disaster. So it was a tour de force with every cylinder firing, every department proving that they are working every day in tangible ways, as you said, Sean, in material and substantive ways to improve the lives of Americans, to improve the strength and prosperity of this nation so that we can be the best partner to all of the nations around the world that need us to be strong.
So let me ask you guys this question. And I mean this like so I'm going to ask it in a positive way, because I don't think there's a negative, like I'm not. But is there somebody or something in the last 100 days that you've been pleasantly surprised by? So when he announced this cabinet, when he came in office, something that you maybe thought, okay, I'll give you an example. Like I knew he'd secure the border, right? And I think that's, but the style and speed at which he did it, right? Or is there somebody in the cabinet who, when you listen to that list yesterday, you go, you know what? I didn't expect so-and-so to be so good. Like, Mehek, is there somebody or something that has stood out for you in the last 100 days that went maybe above and beyond where you thought that they would be or what they would have done when this started in January?
Look, Sean, there's no doubt that I think J.D. Vance is exceptional being from Ohio, but I also think he's the secret weapon in this administration. He doesn't have a microphone in his face 24/7. I love the transparency of this administration. I feel like I'm a part of the White House. I have a front seat right there center. But J.D. Vance is traveling across the country and the world, and he's moving and shaking deals with the Prime Minister in India. He was with the Pope before he passed. I mean, he's doing a lot of behind the scenes deals to make sure that we're delivering greatness. While President Trump sets that agenda, he's putting his head down and working. I love that man and what he's doing for our country today.
Yeah. Actually, this is why I love these kind of questions, because I'm not sure I would have, but you're absolutely right. I was like, he probably is the most consequential vice president at this pace or place of any. So, all right, Chris DeGaulle, you're up. You're in the barrel, baby.
Well, first of all, Mehek's 100% right. I heard your buddy Mark Halperin say he's probably the most powerful, influential vice president we've seen, maybe ever. I don't know, but that's true.
The thing, Chris, is that it's also what Mehek touched on, which is fascinating, is the style, right? It's not like Dick Cheney, who was very powerful, but everybody knew it. What Mehek said that was so brilliant, as I keep digesting this right now, is that he's doing it in a way where he's not trying to get credit or in the spotlight. It's behind the scenes.
That's it.
And I always love when you realize, like, somebody is so smart or brilliant and they're not. Like, Washington, D.C. is built on people who are like, let me tell you how powerful I am. And did you know I know 5 other people that are really important? Whereas, like, what JD does is, like, it's his sheer the brilliance shines in because he doesn't say it.
Yeah. You know what I think about all these people? All of them share something in common, in my opinion, and that is none of them are, they love the history of this country, the tradition, they love the people of the country. They are not impressed with the trappings of the office. I find so often these people get to the White House, and this is as highfalutin and fancy as they're ever going to live life, and they just like being in the system. These people are there to fix and improve the system. They are not there to live and be of it. They all exude, I'm bringing my excellence from the outside in. We're temporary stewards of this thing. This is you guys, the American people's property and money and facility. We're treating it as such. We're temporary stewards. They all have that attitude. I'll say in terms of individuals that blew me away, who thought that the Treasury Secretary was going to be one of the most interesting people to listen to regularly? I think he's genius.
Same thing, though, but dude, brilliant call. And the way that you're describing it, so good. Scott Bassett just says it like he's not, jumping up and down. That video wasn't exactly like full of energy, but it's like, boom.
He's just like the president. He doesn't need this job, Sean. He doesn't need this job. It's like people question, is he serious? Of course he's serious. If he wasn't, he wouldn't be sitting there. He doesn't need this gig. He's brilliant. I love it. More Besant, please.
All right, Nan Hayworth, bring us home. We're 2 for 2.
Well, I will say that I have been particularly impressed with Marco Rubio and his evolution from the jejune figure, if you will, whom we witnessed in the 2016 primary season. And in that debate in which Chris Christie just frankly demolished him, which was hard to witness. And President Trump, of course, little Marco. To see him mature as a statesman, he is, I think he's done a flawless performance. He is articulate. He is fast on his feet. He is handling a world situation in behalf of the president, in behalf of the United States, that is extraordinarily difficult. And I think I have been repeatedly impressed by his eloquence and his rational, intelligent approach. Really, to me, most improved to me goes to Secretary Rubio.
May I jump in on Nan's point there? I was about to say him. I changed my mind to Besant, but I was about to point out yesterday, specifically to what the Congresswoman said, when someone asked about these illegal gangbangers being brought back, he jumped in without missing a beat and looked right in the eye of that reporter and said, that isn't the way this works. I don't care what some judge said. We're in charge of the show. And then he laid out the State Department's insidious plan to silence Americans. She's exactly right. He's a surgeon. He's fascinating to watch.
It's like mental. It's like verbal jujitsu. I love when he goes on like Sunday shows. It's like, I got to watch this because they'll come at him and be like, Secretary Rubio, you threw this guy out. And he just sits back and he's like, Margaret, do you understand Section 142 of the Eternal Code that allows us to do the following? That gentleman had done, and it's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. I mean, it's just, I'm okay. I'll give you, like, you've taken all the good ones. And I see the thing I love about what you guys just said isn't just the name, but the analysis that you put behind each one of those things. It's like, it's so deep, right? And Chris, your point about history, when Secretary Rubio or Bassett, like they all, and even like they come to you with a sense of explaining that it's not just a one line talking point or something. But I want to play you guys what Elon said yesterday at the cabinet. Take a look.
Elon, I love the double hat, by the way. He's the only one that can do that. Get away with it.
Well, Mr. President, they say I wear a lot of hats. It's true. Even my hat has a hat.
My hat has a hat. I mean, I love it. But I will say this, because you guys took a bunch of the good ones, but I will say the idea, I have, I spent 3 years on the budget committee. I am so annoyed by the lack of attention that the waste and the inefficiencies in our government get paid by a lot of people who want to pay lip service to it. I see Nan totally, as a member of Congress, I can't believe how many times things get brought up and they go, yeah, just not this year, right? And what Elon has done to expose the waste and fraud. And so here's what I would just say on that point. I am worried, truly, that as he sort of segues out of his official role at DOJ, I know they're saying he'll spend some more time, but without his leadership, I don't know. I'm a little worried that this doesn't continue at the same pace.
See, Sean, I think he's going to continue to be active. That's what I think. I think he's going to continue to call out mainstream media and Congress. And the fact that we have X and him on X every single day, ensuring that people are watching every move of Congress and this kind of transparency. I think he, even though he's not sitting in the White House, he's still going to be observing because he still has that mission to stand behind President Trump and make sure that we have excellence in this country.
Sean, I don't mean to interrupt your show, but I think you'd probably want to know it. As we're recording and talking today, Fox is reporting Mike Walz is out.
Well, Mark Halperin predicted that this morning on the morning meeting, that he would be fired. I was actually skeptical because Waltz had been on Fox this morning making the case. So, I mean, I don't know. What do you guys think? It's funny because the way Mark reported it this morning was that it's not because of Signalgate. It's not because of his views that some think he's a neocon or whatever. It's that they didn't think that he was running the NSC well, which is something that, frankly, I wasn't picking up.
No.
Anyone else? I mean, I had not picked that up. And I've known Mike a long time. He wrote a great book on his experience as a special forces ranger. And I'm surprised. I mean, we have Seb Gorka on the show all the time. I know he's a former colleague of yours, Chris, and Seb was always singing Mike's praises.
Yes, he defends him. I don't know. I don't want to read too much into this, but I did think it's strange that Donald Trump invited Jeffrey Goldberg recently to sit down for an interview.
Yeah.
And I don't know if you want to connect any dots there, but Goldberg's the guy that broke the Signalgate story. Is there something there? Maybe? I don't know.
What would you, so what's the there? I mean, I can't even hypothetically, is it to shove it in Waltz's face? Hey, I'm going to bring...
Well, no, I'm saying, did Goldberg enlighten Trump with some information or news about Signalgate?
No, because he printed everything. I don't know. I doubt it. But again, at least Mark Halperin's reporting from the morning meeting this morning was that was not what was driving this. That there was definitely, from a staff standpoint, some concern about his style and management.
It's also fascinating because he was among the earliest appointments to the cabinet, one of the first ones.
Yeah. All right. I do want to
retained his seat in Congress.
Now, of course, the point of this is, Sean, it's not going to matter why. It will be because of something he did, Signalgate or whatever, that now they will figure out what is this first admission, this first concession by the Trump administration that somebody had to go. They finally got a scalp, so they're going to celebrate and come up with a reason why.
And that's the thing is that I'm surprised that Trump gave it to him, because you're right. I mean, this is just going to help play into the media narrative that something's wrong. Technically, Mike is not a member of the cabinet as the NSC, but I will say, that obviously senior enough. I just wonder, is he the scalp, or is there someone else that you guys think is probably next?
Sounds like his entire team, by the way, not just him.
Oh, yeah. I think they're all, yeah.
There's been a drip after this signal.
There needed to be some type of firing to show the American people that your actions have consequences, and he had to go. It's unfortunate, but when you make a mistake like that, it was grave, and I think that it shouldn't have happened. You don't accidentally add a reporter, and then when he did his media tour and tried to explain it, we still had questions. It still felt uncomfortable, and I know he's not a, quote, member of the cabinet, but he's still the head of the NSC. We need somebody in there that's serious and that's controlling national security information.
It also gets them off Hegseth for a while, perhaps. As well.
I don't know.
I was thinking.
Really? Right. See, here's the funny thing. And again, full disclosure, I'm friends with Pete. I'm a supporter of his. But I also think, does that give you some oxygen, or does that give you some fear that says, wow, they just whacked that guy. Am I next?
Could be both.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Welcome to Donald Trump's world.
You never know. But here's the question. Who's going to replace Mike Waltz?
The word on the street was Steve Witkoff coming into this morning. I will see. I mean, I will say, look, General Keith Kellogg was the chief of staff of the NSC during Trump 1. He was ended up becoming the national security advisor to Mike Pence.
And he's been hip deep in Ukraine this whole time too. So, now with that successful deal done, that makes sense.
Yeah, I will say that the credentials, one of the things that's interesting, and the reason that I liked Mike Waltz initially in that position is he understood, obviously coming from Congress, but he also, he's a special forces guy. He understood, like he's been on the ground, boots on the ground. And sometimes when you're, instead of just theoretically talking about national security, when you understand what it's like to deploy troops and how things react, I like that. So I hope that there's somebody that comes in with the gravitas of that has the background of that. I will say,
because he seemed rock solid as when he was selected.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Yeah.
All right. One. Let me sort of touch on a couple of the other big things that are going on. The White House rolled out what is being called this new Drudge Report, right? And it's what I think is people are missing, at least as far as I'm concerned, and I want to hear what you guys think on this. Is they're focused on like the one thing. I talk to people all the time about like when people are communicating, sometimes they focus on a tactic. We should send out a tweet. We should put out a release. We should give a speech, right? And Nan, you know this as a member of Congress. Like, okay, well that's great. That's a tactic. I want a strategy. Tell me where we're going and then work backwards and say, so in order to achieve this end state, we're going to do a speech on Friday. It'll be followed up by a bunch of, press releases and tweets and social media posts that will amplify that speech. Then we'll have an op-ed the next day. That's a strategy that utilizes tactics. And when the White House unveiled this drudge-like website for news gathering, what I think most of the media missed, and I'll start with you, Chris DeGaulle, as somebody who was down at the White House who's part of this, is that they're missing the bigger strategy, which is they having media influencer rows. They're calling into radio shows and doing podcasts, and they've set up the Trump 47 response tweet. This is not just one thing. This is part of an overall strategy to communicate to people where they are when they are. So whether you're Mehek Cook in Ohio or Chris DeGaulle in Philadelphia or Nan Hayworth in New York, like they now are bypassing the media to give you news and information where you are when you are, Chris DeGaulle.
Every day, I think, in her briefing, Caroline Leavitt is introducing some new guest member of the new media, some new podcast host, some new alternative media outlet, every single day, rubbing it in their faces. There are people in that press briefing room that are now situated with access to ask her questions every day we've never seen or met before. There's more media and more information than ever before. This White House brilliantly, masterfully used it in November to get to the White House to begin with. I just watched Caroline give a tour of your old office.
She did one on makeup
video not too long ago. Yeah. They are personalizing themselves. They're having fun. It's like it is a bit, and I don't mean to say it in a pejorative way, but it is a bit like watching your government as a reality show. It's fascinating.
Wow. Yeah. Nan brought it up earlier with the apprentice. It is though, but I feel like I know them. I know what's going on.
Yeah.
All right. We've talked about our side enough. I want to talk about their side. I'm calling it the Kamala comeback. She gives a 17-minute speech last night. And I want to just play you one moment in this speech that anyway, she talks about the zoo. Let's play it for you all.
In fact, please allow me, friends, to digress for a moment. Okay. It's kind of dark in here, but I'm asking for a show of hands. Who saw that video from a couple of weeks ago? The one of the elephants at the San Diego Zoo during the earthquake? Google it if you've not seen it. So that scene has been on my mind. Everybody's asking me, what you've been thinking about these days? Well, so in the video, for those who haven't seen it.
All right, I'll stop there. I just, look, Mehek, I'm sorry. Like, it was to me just the ultimate reminder of how bad she was as a candidate. She's talking about in the most cringeworthy way. Did you all see that elephant video? I mean, it actually just, like, when I watch her, it inspires me to go out and to, like, put up a Trump sign again. I mean, she's so bad.
Well, Sean, I hope she continues to do this.
Yeah, I mean, I hope she gets. I'm like, please give another speech about zoos and elephants.
She reminds me very much of Hillary Clinton. Neither one of these women can act natural in a bathroom. They don't know how to be people. And you either do or you don't, and they just don't.
Well, wow. Now you've taken me from a zoo to a bathroom, Chris. So let me just say one thing. I think Kamala Harris is so inauthentic, and I hope she continues to speak. The more she speaks, the more she shows the American people one thing. She still can't apologize being complicit in that open border crisis. And until she doesn't rectify the gravest mistake, which was standing next to Biden, knowing he was in mental decline, it's the biggest cover up. It's the biggest cover up of my lifetime. She's going to continue to make a mockery of the Democrat Party. She, AOC, Bernie Sanders, I hope they continue to show the American people that the fringe left has lost common sense. They remind me of zoo animals in a bathroom.
Nan, I can't imagine, like, they talk about governor or running again. I'm like, dude, run for what? Like, I don't know why any Democrat would be scared of her as a potential candidate, whether you're running for governor or dog catcher in California.
You know, she's in California. Of course, California remains in many ways the heart of the entertainment industry. It's a fantasy world. It's fantasy land. And, you know, they have managed to make their little niche outside the reality that most Americans are experiencing. But she's basically, and I feel terrible saying this because Clueless was actually a very sweet little movie, but she's like, if Clueless grew up and never caught a clue, you know, that's Kamala Harris.
That's so fetch of you.
Yeah. but you know, the problem is that it does seem as though Democrat politicians don't understand the connection between policy and effects on the ground. Like they think that their problem was in the 2024 election cycle that there weren't enough supporters promulgating their message. It was a problem with messaging. It's always some sort of and messaging is crucial, Sean, as you were just saying. It is absolutely essential. But when we get the message, if Americans actually understand, when they do understand what they're actually proposing for us, Americans have rejected it. Yeah. So I don't know, you know, she is I think she's fundamentally an unserious woman who clearly has a massive ego, but not self-protective enough to recognize when she sounds extremely foolish. And how insulting to elephants, who are actually wise creatures.
Well, Nan, I hate to disagree with you, but she knows what she doesn't know, and it's obvious because she chose her running mate for a very specific reason, because she knew that she had a gap. Tim Walz was at Harvard yesterday and explained very clearly why he got picked, Nan, and this is why I'm going to show you. She knew exactly where her deficiencies were, and Tim Walz explained it at Harvard yesterday. Let's show you that.
I was on the ticket, I would argue, because we did a lot of amazing progressive things in Minnesota that improved people's lives. But I also was on the ticket, quite honestly, you know, because I could code talk to white guys watching football, fixing their truck, doing that I could put them at ease. I was the permission structure to say, look, you can do this and vote for this. And you look across those swing states, with the exception of Minnesota, we didn't get enough.
Chris DeGaulle, did you get permission? Because I know that as a white guy who has a truck and watches football, did you feel like you had permission then because the code talker gave you permission?
I have both a truck and I love watching football, and I have never flailed about like that lunatic in my life. Most men I know don't do the jazz hands and the high kicks. He's a wacko. He's totally bizarre. And here's what's interesting. It actually, in its stupidity, there's also a cynicism in it. To Nan's point, they don't know what real people are. Right. They don't know. And so they think, well, maybe he's close to somebody that looks or sounds real. Let's try him. He's even admitting he went out to play act to try to appeal to a guy like me. Right. It's like there's not an authentic bone in these people's bodies.
No.
You know, Mehek Cook, I wanted to have a Lloyd Benson moment there and be like, Mr. Waltz, I am a white man. Mr. Waltz, I own a truck. Mr. Waltz, I watch football. You are no code talker, Mr. Waltz. Like that to me was you need a moment like that.
Yeah. Well, but even if you did that, Sean, this is the problem. The Democrat Party is not listening. There's so many Democrats that revolted against them and came to the Republican base because they didn't want tampon Tim in the boys' bathroom. They didn't want little boys and girls sports. I mean, the fundamental DEI concept and this racism that's been peddled by the Democrat Party, where it's only a white man can talk to white men like you and Chris. I mean, that's the problem today. When you deconstruct everything, Democrats today are going towards this racist ideology. And the only reason Kamala Harris didn't win is because she's a woman. And the only reason Tim didn't win is because he wasn't able to talk to Black people. I mean, everything is about race today. And it's just mind boggling. White guys do more than watch football. Guys, my husband is a white guy and he has motorcycles and he couldn't connect with Tim Walz.
All right. We always end Thursdays with our winners and losers of the week. Mahek, I'll start with you. Who's your winner and your loser?
I think my winner is going to constantly be President Trump, who's working 24/7 to deliver for the American people. And I mean, losers, I don't even know where to start, but I'm going to continue to say AOC. But I hope she secures that Democrat nomination. I hope she runs for president.
Why? Did she do anything this week that elevated her on your scale, or is it just because she sucks in general?
Oh, no, her Instagram post where she looks like she's running, but then telling everybody it wasn't a campaign ad. I mean, she is running, guys. Just wait.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Nan Hayworth, who do you think won and lost the week?
Well, I in partnership with President Trump, of course, who is the overall winner week upon week. But I would say Secretary Bessent, whose star just continues to rise. We talk about JD Vance's talent. He is an amazing vice president. But I do think that Scott Bessent has this kind of, he's got like a really co-equal role with this vice president. In a sense, he has become the key member of this cabinet in so many ways. Losers of the week, the people of Canada.
Oh, good call.
Completely defied it just what we were talking about in terms of, understanding reality and how policy actually creates conditions on the ground, and went ahead and elected Mark Carney because they wanted to own Trump somehow. Because apparently that was a sentiment. By the way, Canadian boomers were the biggest ones. Boomers in the United States are the biggest anti-Trump designation. As a boomer, I'm offended by all of this, but the people of Canada, very sad indeed. They've got
I didn't think about that. Good point. Yeah, it's so short-sighted. Like I'm voting for you because you don't like somebody else, not because of what you're going to do for Canada. Chris Stegall, who do you think won and lost the week?
Winners of the week, us, the new media.
I had a different us, but I want to hear you. Okay, go.
Us, meaning those of us who value access and truth-telling and a straight talk, right? They are coming to, all of us who are in new media have been elevated by this White House. Yeah. Our audiences have been treated to this White House with respect and access, and we don't need the left-wing mainstream legacy media anymore. Losers of the week, you Patriots fans who have to watch whatever this is going on with your former winning coach and this girlfriend.
Please stop. That's just so disrespectful, what you are saying. Okay.
What is going on?
We need to pivot. All right. I thought when you said us, I was actually going to change mine to this, to us, and but it's a different us. I think we won. We won this week. With the president's 100 days, I was reminded by how much we've gotten. Nan mentioned it a little as well, but we actually have won. And President Trump, and I give his comms team, Chris Stegall, we were up there over the week. I appreciate the access because we could see it all. And they did a great job rolling it all out. So I give the team and President Trump, but we're the winners this week because I think there's so much that's been done for us. And I've mentioned this before, 23-page document of all of the promises made, promises kept. And it's just, anyway. So my loser of the week, Nan, is one of your former colleagues. And I want to play for you a clip of the esteemed leader of the Democratic Party this week. Let's see Hakeem Jeffries, please.
Cost of living in the United States is too high. America is too expensive. And Donald Trump couldn't care less. He couldn't care less that housing costs are too high. He couldn't care less that grocery costs are too high. He couldn't care less that childcare costs are too high.
All right, that's enough. Because if you are that stupid that you don't think that people remember that you were around for the last 4 years when you didn't say anything about inflation, egg prices going through the roof, everything else, and suddenly 100 days in, it's Donald Trump's fault that everything's expensive. I mean, dude, sorry, bro. You're the loser of the week, and you deserve it. Guys, thank you all for being here. I always love the Thursday panel. Chris Stegall, thank you for breaking news in the middle of the show. Always welcome. Remember, tomorrow I have my latest newsletter coming out, SeanSpicer.com. It's free to sign up. Always appreciate a VIP membership. And it's a great gift. Mother's Day is coming up. I know my mother said to me, could I get a gift certificate for your newsletter at SeanSpicer.com? And I said, yes, Mom, I will do that. So if you want to give your mom or a mom that you love who helped raise you a gift of SeanSpicer.com for a year, please do it. It's such a great gift, and nothing says I love you like Sean Spicer's newsletter at SeanSpicer.com. Thanks for being here. We've got a great show coming your way tomorrow. Our old buddy Tim Murtaugh is going to be here. Byron Donalds is going to be here talking about where we go from here on reconciliation and all that stuff. Have a great night. We'll see you back here tomorrow on the Sean Spicer Show. Well, if you enjoyed this content, make sure to like this video, subscribe, and click the notification bell to get more.